I should have listened to the park ranger's warnings about going off trail in the deep backcountry of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Stay on the marked paths, he had cautioned me with a grave look. Folks have gone missing out there over the years, never to be seen again. But I was a smug 22-year-old fresh out of college, and certain that the stories of inexplicable disappearances were just Appalachian tall tales meant to keep tourists corralled. How wrong I was. Now I'll be traumatized for life after my terrifying encounter with, I'm not even sure what to call them, a feral, inbred clan, degenerate human beings gone savage. They were the stuff of nightmares, whatever they were. The sun filtering through the trees created a picturesque setting as I made my way along the trail. The vibrant colors of wildflowers and the lush greenery of the forest enveloped me. In the distance, I spotted a majestic black bear, its massive form moving gracefully through the landscape. I found myself surrounded by a forest of vibrant green trees, their leaves swaying gracefully in the sunshine that peeked through the canopy above. The vibrant hues of wildflowers added a pop of color to the green landscape. In the distance, I saw another black bear meandering along a ridge, reminding me of the true wilderness of the mountains. The lush green foliage of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park surrounded me as I followed the winding trail. The sun began to set, casting a green-orange glow over the trees and turning the sky a deep shade of purple. Shadows grew longer around my campsite, creating an eerie atmosphere. I noticed the rough wooden staff leaning against a nearby tree, its bark gnarled and worn from use. It stood out against the natural beauty of the forest, a man-made object in the wild. How it got there, I have not a clue. Maybe some hiker left it behind. Suddenly, shadows began moving just beyond the reach of my campfire's glow. There were definitely multiple humanoid figures skulking at the tree line, occasionally emitting some kind of bone-chilling wail and what sounded like grunts. My heart raced, panic coursing through my veins as I frantically searched for a solution. My hands shook as I reached for the bear spray, but a voice in my head told me it would be useless against these creatures. These were clearly not bears, despite their guttural growls and snarls. My mind raced with possibilities. Should I run? But the thought of them chasing after me in the darkness of the forest made my blood run cold. Should I climb a tree? As I surveyed the towering trunks around me, doubts crept in about my ability to scale one before they closed in on me. Sweat trickled down my forehead as I weighed my options, knowing that my next move could be my last. With trembling hands, I stoked the fire and watched as it flickered and danced in the night, casting eerie shadows on the trees surrounding me. My heart pounding in my chest as I clutched my trusted camping knife, my only line of defense against whatever lurked in the darkness. Hours crept by as I stood sentry, my eyes darting back and forth between the shifting shadows beyond the fire's reach. The unearthly moans and grunts of strange creatures echoed through the stillness, their movements resembling a grotesque imitation of human beings. In the dim light, I could make out at least 5 or 6 distinct figures prowling just beyond my vision. Each passing moment seemed to stretch into an eternity as I waited for dawn to break and release me from this living nightmare. Finally, as the first sliver of dawn began to brighten the woods, the horrific howling trailed off and the shapes appeared to disperse, hopefully driven back by the approaching daylight. I'd never been so utterly petrified in my life. As soon as there was enough morning light to see by, I broke camp as fast as humanly possible and hauled ass back along the trail toward the main park roads, putting as much distance as I could between me and whatever those malevolent beings that had stalked me relentlessly through the night of terror were. When I finally emerged from the trailhead, I was an absolute wreck. Bugs plastered to my sweat-soaked shirt, wild-eyed and muttering to myself, hands still shaking uncontrollably. A park ranger took one look at me and knew something was deeply wrong. "You saw them, didn't you?" he asked grimly after I recounted my harrowing experience. I must have looked at him in bewilderment because he sighed and continued, "There are stories. legends that have passed down for generations about an inbred clan of wild humans living deep in the isolated hollows and caves of the Smoky Mountains, supposedly descendants of settlers or hermits from centuries ago who became feral and cut off from civilization over many generations. Most folks dismiss it as lore, but enough park rangers and hikers have encountered something over the years. Makes you wonder. They move at night and are reclusive, very hostile to outsiders. If what you describe is accurate, you are extremely lucky that your campfire kept them at bay. Those wails and shrieks and grunts, that's how they intimidate, to strike fear. If they had attacked, he trailed off, not needing to finish his sentence. The Park Service doesn't like to admit their existence, for fear of turning it into a Bigfoot circus sideshow and making us look like crackpots. But those of us who have been in these hills for decades know there's something to those legends. Try to put it out of your mind. You're safe now, but maybe think twice before going deep into that backcountry again. I assured the haunted-looking ranger that I would never, ever set foot in those woods again after my ordeal. But I know the experience will give me night terrors for years. What form of humanoid beast was lurking out there, carrying on a life of savage evolutionary regression, cut off from society? I truly don't want to know. All I can say is, be watchful when you're camping in the Smokies. Those wails and grunts you hear in the black of night, they ain't coyotes, and they ain't bear either. Be cautious of the perilous depths and remote backcountry wilderness, where these wild creatures roam without restraint. The feral inbred clan is said to dwell in these parts, a sinister group with a reputation for violence and madness, and some say a taste for flesh. Stories of their blood-curdling howls echo through the rugged terrain, instilling fear in anyone who dares to even venture near. I can still hear their bone-chilling screams ringing in my ears, a haunting memory that will never fade from my mind. Stay safe out there.